Today, we're diving into one of the most famous assassinations in all of history. And it's a story so packed with blatant, in-your-face warnings that it honestly sounds like something out of a movie. But it wasn't. And it all starts with a single piece of paper that could have changed absolutely everything.
I mean, just think about that for a second. It all boils down to this one unbelievable moment. A note that could have saved the most powerful man on the planet. He was literally holding a list of his own murderers in his hand and just tucked it away for later. To understand how that could possibly happen, we have to understand the man and the city he basically owned.
You see, to get why Caesar fell, you first have to appreciate his status. He wasn't just a leader, he was a living legend. He seemed completely beyond the reach of normal people, and that kind of power created a tension in Rome that was just about to snap.
So, let's paint the picture. We're in Rome, 44 BC. This is the center of the known world, the most powerful city on Earth. A place of incredible wealth, staggering power, and some very, very deeply held traditions.
And at the very heart of this empire is one man, Julius Caesar. And listen, he wasn't just a general or a politician anymore. He'd been declared dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. Something totally unprecedented. This guy had conquered nations. He'd won a brutal civil war. In the eyes of almost everyone, he was untouchable.
But Rome had one fundamental, ironclad, non-negotiable rule. We do not do kings. The word itself, rex, was an insult. It didn't matter what fancy title Caesar gave himself. By holding that much power with zero intention of ever giving it up, he was breaking the one rule that held the entire Roman Republic together. And Rome had a long history of dealing with men who forgot that rule.
Okay, so this is where the story gets almost ridiculous. It's like the entire universe was screaming at Caesar to just stay home that day, and he just wasn't listening.
And the first warning, it couldn't have been more blunt. This wasn't some cryptic riddle you had to decode. A soothsayer, a respected spiritual figure, literally looked Caesar in the eye and gave him a specific date to be afraid of, March 15th. I mean, come on, it doesn't get any clearer than that.
And it wasn't just a one-off thing. We're talking 3 huge, impossible-to-miss warnings. First, you get the prophecy. Second, his own wife, Calpurnia, has a terrifyingly vivid dream that he's been murdered, and she begs him not to go to the Senate. And third, the very letter we started with, naming names, the whole shebang, is handed directly to him that morning. So let's recap. A prophecy, a desperate plea from his wife, and a written confession. And he still went.
Now, this is probably the biggest misconception about Caesar's assassination. We picture this shadowy cabal, men whispering in dark alleys. The reality was something way more brazen, and frankly, a lot more terrifying.
So, who were these guys waiting for him with daggers hidden in their togas? Were they foreign spies? Hired assassins? Well, the answer is a whole lot closer to home. The betrayal was just devastatingly personal. The plotters weren't strangers. They were his colleagues, his fellow senators, men he argued with, laughed with, and worked with every single week. And the one leading the charge? Brutus. A man Caesar loved, a man he trusted like his own son. This wasn't some secret plot. It was practically an open secret among the elites in Rome.
And so, we arrive at the day itself. The day he was told to fear. Every single warning has been waved off. Every plea has been dismissed. The stage is set.
Caesar strolls into the Senate chamber, alone. No personal bodyguards, just the absolute, unshakable confidence of a man who genuinely believes he's too important, too powerful to ever be harmed.
And then the senators approach him. They start to crowd around his chair, getting closer than they normally would. Way too close. It's a subtle shift, but it's a break in protocol that should have been a screaming alarm bell.
And in that instant, all the usual chatter and murmuring of the Senate floor, it just fades to nothing. The air goes completely still. The time for warnings is over. 23 stab wounds. The prophecy, the dream, the unread letter, it all comes true in a matter of seconds, in a burst of brutal, shocking violence. The assassination itself is incredibly dramatic, of course, but the real story here, the real lesson, is all about why it was even allowed to happen. It's about how power can make you blind.
So let me ask you, what's the most genuinely chilling part of this story? Is it the betrayal by his friends? The sheer violence of it? Or is it something else? Something deeper?
See, this is the core of it. We're all conditioned to fear the unknown, right?
the secret enemy hiding in the shadows that we can't see coming. But the reality in Rome was so much worse. The threat was obvious. It was happening in plain sight, carried out by his colleagues, and it still happened. The danger wasn't lurking in the dark. It was standing right next to him, smiling.
And this is the ultimate takeaway. In the end, Caesar wasn't really killed by daggers. He was killed by his own certainty. He was so completely convinced of his own invulnerability that he was literally blind to the weapons being drawn right in front of his face. It just proves that the single greatest threat to power is absolute confidence.
Which leaves us with one last, really haunting question. It wasn't just Caesar who saw the signs. Other people must have known. So why did an entire system, allies, friends, other senators, watch an obvious plot unfold and do absolutely nothing to stop it? Now that's something to think about.